What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got big updates on Final Fantasy XVI and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. We're starting off with Final Fantasy XVI because this is probably the most drastic or urgent update that we do need to talk about. Those that are excited or looking forward to Final Fantasy XVI, be aware of spoilers. The game is out there in the wild. I did see a post on Twitter from JShugZ89 where he talked about how, look guys, he was able to go out there and buy a copy or get a copy of Final Fantasy XVI here in the US. This isn't a Japanese copy or a European copy or somewhere else. It looks like it's a ESRB M rated right there on the picture. So be wary of spoilers, be wary of video thumbnails, be wary of posts on Twitter. And now might be the time to make sure that you mute certain keywords so you do not get spoiled on Final Fantasy XVI. Now, I recently finished the demo for Final Fantasy XVI, which does transfer over to the main game, and it is phenomenal. The story, the pacing, the gameplay, it is a fantastic game. I'm expecting that a lot of players are going to be very happy with this title. Now, it's not going to basically impress everyone based off of what you're looking for in a Final Fantasy title, but what I can say is that it's very well done, and this game took a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of help from great development partners like Platinum Games. And I think even CyberConnect 2, you can tell when you play the title that there is a lot of the DMC DNA, Bayo DNA, and even Naruto DNA put in there from the anime and also from the games, especially during the icon battles. So absolutely phenomenal stuff from Square Enix and also from Yoshi P and his team. So this is going to be an incredible experience for players out there, but just be careful because there are bad faith actors out there. There are ridiculous people out there that are willing to spoil everything for people out there in order to just let people know and say, haha, I got the game first. I'm going to post whatever I want. I'm going to sit here and get views for the people who aren't going to buy the game or don't care about spoilers. They don't care whose journey they spoil along the way, as long as they get what they get, whether it's a high from putting that information out there or it's the views that you're going to get on YouTube if you do stuff like that. We've seen it with a lot of major games out there, from The Last of Us to The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Pretty much every single Nintendo Switch title, it happens. People leak stuff all the time, so please be careful. But we also have another big update when it comes to Final Fantasy XVI, and that is the debut sales, or at least how it's looking. Now, the COMG charts is still way below Final Fantasy 15. We already did report that. However, on Amazon, it looks like the physical sales are picking up, because for the first time in months, a game has actually passed up The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom when it comes to hot new releases in Japan. Now, for right now, the bestsellers list is busted, but Final Fantasy XVI is up on that as well. It's up from where it used to be. But when it comes to the hot new releases, so games that are upcoming, and of course when they launch, Final Fantasy XVI is above The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom when it comes to the physical edition, and two separate versions of the Final Fantasy XVI bundle, the all digital and also the physical, are up there in the top 4. So that is incredibly good to see that Final Fantasy XVI is helping to push software sales in addition to hardware sales in Japan. Now, we have to wait and see for the full sales charts when it comes to physical with the Famitsu sales, but that's not going to give us the full picture because there's also digital sales to consider, where PlayStation is about, I think, 70% plus, where it's digital over physical. So the physical sales aren't going to give us the full picture of everything here, and I'm not privy to knowing exactly what goes on in these bundles, if you get a physical copy in these or not, but I'm guessing with the all digital PlayStation 5 bundle of Final Fantasy XVI, you get a digital code. So those are going to be added to the total as well. So everything isn't going to be dependent on that first week sales. And I do feel that after playing this demo, Final Fantasy XVI is a game that can sell for a good amount of time. Yes, later it's going to need some price drops, but I think that it can put up some really good numbers as the PS5 install base grows. It's going to be a game that grows with the install base, not crazy impressive, super industry breaking numbers at launch like Tears of the Kingdom. But this is still a very good update, and a big one for Yoshi P and Square Enix, where they were kind of worrying a little bit about the sales beforehand because it was tracking way lower than Final Fantasy 15, which I don't think it's going to sell as much as that, just because that was a global launch with a huge install base. It was just a whole separate thing compared to a PS5 exclusive that's trying something different. But I do think that this is going to be much better than maybe what some were expecting, but still not quite up to where we see with some of the other big blockbusters that we've seen been released on PlayStation, even like a God of War or something like that. But it should be better than what was going on in Japan. It should definitely get a spike in sales because of the demo, and of course because of these different bundles that are happening as well. Now let's go ahead and get into some other news here. A big update on The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and also the Nintendo Switch. This is something that I want to report because we have other bad faith actors out there that are not giving true sales analysis on this. Now, when something goes good for Switch or when something goes bad, we're going to report the sales numbers no matter what. So, for example, not necessarily bad, but I've been reporting on the UK sales numbers. We saw The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom slip out of the top because Diablo came in there. I reported on that, talk about, hey, look, 36% drop, reported down. Diablo did better. We still keep on going. We don't just report when we feel like it. So we're going to talk about this because I find this to be incredibly interesting that on a random week, June 5th, 2023 to June 11, 2023, the Nintendo Switch gets a massive boost up to 100,000 units sold for the week. Now, this is the highest single total for any system released in Japan for this year, if I'm not correct. Now, you got to go back to maybe January. I'll do a double check, but I'm going off the top of my head here as somebody who covers the sales and looks at them every single week for pretty much the past 10 years plus at this point. It does seem like this is the first time when it comes to this year, so 2023, that any system has broken 100,000 units sold. So very good to see that, or at least without any type of major new release to help push like Fire Emblem Engage or some other type of game, right? So if we're looking at it, pretty good, right? Pretty good. The Switch, the past 3 weeks, I think it's been selling 80,000, and now we have a 104,413 units for the Switch family. That's the Switch OLED, that's the regular V2 Switch, and that's also the Switch Lite as well. All of them combined. I think that's also the standard Switch too, but that's pretty much phased out at this point. Now, the big update here for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is that game sold another 46,644 units, not including digital sales, where it's still, even after what, 5 weeks now, 4 or 5 weeks, it's still number one on the eShop digitally, which that game is having a higher penetration of digital sales ratio than we've ever seen for any major title released when it comes to something not named Pokemon. I think when it comes to something not named Pokemon, the digital sales on that one are insane from what Nintendo has announced. So 46,000 units, that was the best selling game. It actually outsold all the different copies of Diablo all combined, but it was actually interesting to see that there was an Xbox Series X title in the top 5, the Diablo 4 game that actually made it with 8,524 units, a very rare top 10 Xbox game. Some of you guys might be wondering, well, what happened? Well, there was a Diablo 4 bundle that boosted it up. So Xbox Series X got a big boost in obviously the game sale of Diablo 4, but then also in the console sales as well, with the Xbox Series X selling 8,843 units this past week in Japan, which is very good compared to what they usually do, which is in the hundreds. Sometimes it doesn't even break 200 or 300 units. So that bundle did help out, but I wouldn't expect it to last because we did not see any other software, at least for right now. We have to wait till the top 30, which is going to be revealed a little bit later. The top 30 comes up, but we didn't see any other software get dragged with it when you usually see a console seller. So don't expect this to last too long. We also see Street Fighter V putting in some good numbers afterwards, after I think it dipped out of the top 10. So that's back as well. But the big thing here is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, another 46,000, almost 50,000. This is insane when it comes to the legs of this game. You usually don't see Nintendo games last this long at the top, at least recently. We haven't probably seen this since, I think, Animal Crossing back in 2020. I know we had Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and Splatoon 3. Those did really well. Those definitely lasted. But I think that The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is doing a little bit better job considering the timing. Those were in the fall with October and also with November, the big holiday season for Nintendo, their biggest season, whereas this is in the spring/summer, which is not as big of a season. So to see The Legend of Zelda putting up these type of numbers, this is going to sell the system for the rest of the year and maybe even for longer. I can see Tears of the Kingdom being that eternal system seller even after the next Switch comes out within the next 18 months or so. Here, we're going to see Tears of the Kingdom continue to sell Nintendo Switch systems, just like Breath of the Wild sold the Switch for so long. So very good stuff there. Cool update. And also, if you want to compound that with the Amazon sales it's still #1 in new releases on Amazon here in the US and in many other countries. So the sales are continuing. We did have people say that, hey, this game might struggle to sell because it is a sequel and it's late in the life of the Nintendo Switch. However, we did see with games like Splatoon 3 and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that Nintendo Switch has no problem selling its big AAA games even this late in its life, sequels, whatever the case is. A lot of the titles have been selling incredibly well, and Zelda here seems to be the cream of the crop, matching what Pokemon Scarlet and Violet did in the first 3 days, and it seems like is even outpacing it at this point, because these sales are higher than what we were seeing with the residuals of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But we'll have to wait and see what Nintendo reports at their next meeting, but I'm guessing it's going to be near 20 million. Very close to that. It looks to be that way. Tears of the Kingdom is selling at an astronomical rate, so expect those numbers to be crazy, and expect the numbers of this game to potentially hit by the end of the year. So after the holiday season, this could be 30 million units. I mean, it really could. It's going at that pace, and Nintendo just doesn't have as much software announced right now. And I don't think there's going to be anything as big as Tears of the Kingdom. This is going to be the game, along with all the other titles, to pick up on the Nintendo Switch. So great stuff there. And it's also good to see Final Fantasy XVI as the #2 game. That Starfield controller, people getting ready for that on Xbox as well. Good stuff. Pretty cool looking controller. So overall, very good. Good to still see the digital version of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom up in the top 10 as well. Plus even, I think the Australian version at #11. People are even importing when it comes to Tears of the Kingdom because there's so many copies exchanging from the facilities at Amazon. So very good stuff there. And that Tears of the Kingdom Switch is still in the top 15 overall. I do want to talk about one more thing when it comes to some big RPG news, and I'll probably have a separate video on this or something different, but Metaphor ReFantazio is also coming to PlayStation 5, PS4, and Steam. It was confirmed for Xbox One, Xbox Series, Windows PC. It was confirmed for all those at the Microsoft event. That was the marketing deal that I talked about, and now it's been confirmed for more platforms. So some of you guys are probably wondering, well, is there going to be a Switch announcement for this game? Now, when it comes down to this is very tricky when it comes to major third-party Japanese titles. Now, I did a video on Switch 2 in terms of Japanese games and what developers are doing. And yes, Atlus, Bandai Namco, Capcom, Square Enix, they all know about the Switch 2. They all have something there. They have an idea of what it is and are prepping to prepare games. They're getting things ready. So there are, or could be, a lot of announcements that we just don't see for Switch and are going to be Switch 2 titles within that first launch year. Now, this is a 2024 game, all right? And this isn't hopium or copium or anything like that. I'm going to buy this game regardless. It doesn't matter to me. Switch, Switch 2, whatever the case is. PS4, PS5, Xbox Series. I got them all. I'll play them all. I don't care. So I'm probably going to pick up a PS5 version if there isn't a Switch 2 version of this game or a Switch version. Or actually, I'll pick up both like I usually do. But yeah, with this title, it does seem like it could make it because it's not ready. It's just clearly not ready from that trailer. It's not ready to go anytime soon. When it comes to early 2024, I don't think so. Persona 3 Reload is going to be early 2024. I think that this game is going to be mid or late 2024 based off the footage that we've seen. They need more time on this game. So I do think that it's going to take a bit longer. By then, there will be a clear picture of what Switch 2 is, or enough leaks or enough rumors or enough stuff out there that it's probably going to be more based off of that system. So that's what I can see for Metaphor ReFantazio. That's what I see for the game. But overall, we did know that it was going to be, or at least I knew that it was going to be multi-platform, just because Microsoft had that exclusivity announcement deal that they're paying huge bags of money for when it comes to Game Pass and when it comes to the marketing, when it comes to some of these Persona and Atlus titles, in order to get them a little bit of credibility in the Japanese market, and also to ensure their fans that they're trying to get Japanese games, because that has been a criticism for the Xbox platform, that they are not doing enough in the Japanese market. Well, this is their answer to that. But essentially, it's not an exclusive thing. It's not like what they did with the Xbox 360, actually getting real-timed exclusives and getting real exclusives like Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon. They're not going to go that far, but they can do things like this. And I think that it's not really working overall when it comes to system sales and stuff. Doesn't really work, but it's at least something for the Western audience to say, okay, they're trying a bit. And heck, we got cool titles on Game Pass that you can play without any additional cost from what you're already playing, whether it's Persona 3 Reload or it's going to be some of their other titles as well. So I think that, hey, Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. So what do you guys think about all the different information that we went over here? It was a lot to digest, a lot to go down. Final Fantasy XVI, Tears of the Kingdom, Metaphor, ReFantazio. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, notification bell for the best Nintendo Switch Japanese RPG news on YouTube right here on PlayerEssence. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll see you for the next one. Peace out.